Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Take because life has no rehearsal. Today, we're lucky enough to bring Emma Blake. So, I met Emma when she was like, I don't know, 14 or something like that in Phuket,
A little bit
Thailand.
older.
Well, you look like you were 14 or something. I don't know. You were like the youngest one in there.
I was by far the youngest. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Emma began in one of my favorite countries, a country that is known for pushing people who walk slowly and say, come on, mate, you're wasting valuable drinking time. Australia, which is an absolutely fantastic country. Moved to New Zealand, moved to the US, worked on Johnson Wax, which was also one of my favorite accounts, one of my biggest accounts when I worked at Food Connect Building. Uh, I found them to be the absolute contrary of where everybody thinks corporate is. I found it to be a fantastic account, populated by great people all over, and she now is in England. So she's traveled all over the world. She handles international accounts. So welcome, Eva. Emma, I'm sorry, I was thinking about my goddaughter who just had her birthday. So welcome, Emma. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a real pleasure. I haven't seen you in ages. So let's charge right in. You've been all over. You worked in media all of your life. Media has changed. We're going to touch on that a bit. But what made the modern Emma?
So, so I started off obviously uni in New Zealand, and then I popped over to Australia. I've always had the total travel bug. So anything with country which is different, got a different culture, got a different vibe, got a different way of doing things, I was just magnetically attracted to. I was never ever going to be the sort of person who would grow up and stay in the same country forever. And I wasn't satisfied with just going and being a tourist and saying, "Oh, look at that, that's really nice," and taking some photos and staying in a hotel and then going home. I really wanted to get under the skin of what it felt like to be somewhere else and be part of a society, a tax-paying society, where I was contributing in all sorts of monetary and vocational ways. And so I started off in Australia and then went back to New Zealand, obviously, where I met you, Marcelo, on our infamous Phuket trip, which was amazing. And then I kind of thought, well, New Zealand and Australia, a bit samey. So let's do something absolutely mental and move to the US without a visa. So I came in with my little CV in my suitcase. Obviously, I talked to you, Marcelo, and I had a few contacts already within FCB. So I kind of had a little bit of a groundwork rather than being a complete illegal immigrant. And then landed there and interviewed and got a job at Black Rocket, which is an independent agency,
Yes.
um, and worked there for a bit. And then it's like, okay, done America now, itchy feet again, went to London. And that's actually where both my parents are English. So visa-wise, I was out of the hot water and into a bit of a safer kind of environment. And carried on working at Procter and Gamble, and then got a bit bored of London, and then moved to Bristol. And I've been here for about 5 years, and looking for the next challenge on the horizon. So always been in media my whole way around. But yeah, I've just had a real constant case of itchy feet my whole life.
So, but what was the impulse? What moved you to say, okay, fantastic? Was it a phone call? Let me give you an example. A very good friend of mine, Belia, confessed here in this podcast that her whole life began when she saw a little postcard fall out of a magazine saying traditional Chinese medicine. She was a doctor in Germany. She read it. She said, "Oh yeah, this is what I want," and she became an icon in Germany for German medicine. So, what was the starting point? What really set you up?
So for media, I was daughter of a marketing manager, and when we were at school, we were told that we had to go and do work experience. And my dad took me with him to go to Saatchi and Saatchi in Auckland. And at that time, it was the 80s. So advertising was kind of like being on the radar of a lot of movies, and it was pretty cool, and everyone drove fast cars, and it was quite a glamorous industry. So I went as a Litly into a pitch for my dad's lawnmower company by Saatchi and Saatchi, and I got sat down as a 16-year-old and offered coffee, like proper coffee, which I've never had in my life before, and nobody's ever offered me coffee like as a 16. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And they dimmed the lights and did the whole show and took us on a tour of the agency. So there was like table tennis and there was lots of people chatting. And I was like, this is 100% the industry for me. This is totally where I belong. This has got so much energy and vibes, and it's really fashionable and it's pacey. And I can't think of another industry that I'd rather be in, even though I have done 20 plus years in advertising. So it still has all of those elements, and especially in media, things are changing. It's still really energetic. There's still a lot of like vibe around media, and it's still like I feel quite proud to say I actually work in that field, and a lot of my really on the kind of pulse when all my younger friends and colleagues, and I've got a teenager, so she's like, on TikTok all the time. It's like, well, I buy lots of TikTok, and I'm on Reddit, and so yeah, I still love it. I still feel that energy, and that thread has kept me going. So it's satisfied my travel bug, and I've been able to work in my in the field that I love, in the industry I love for so many years.
Well, that is, on the one hand, it's amazing. A lot of us have basically either left the media scene or the media scene has left us, has happened. But if there is, but I still follow it. I'm still in there, right? I'm still buying media. I'm still planning media, even though now I'm planning more marketing than media. But we're there. We keep the finger on the pulse. And
Exactly.
one of the things that, I don't know, I'm going to go out and say it. I hate it. I hate the fragmentation of the industry. When I began, the whole purpose of media was seeing everything that might affect a customer as we try to make that customer make a decision. So let's say the car industry, where I've been in the car industry since I was 22 and a half. In the car industry, influencers were super important because you didn't know enough about a car, so you followed, Road and Track or Car and Driver, whatever. But the media today has fragmented a lot, and sometimes it's disheartening actually. But you're in the thick of it. You're more in the thick of it than I am in the thick of it. So what big change you would have never imagined would happen?
So I think something that has massively negatively affected the industry that I was a part of, um, and it started happening in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, was when digital and traditional diverged. So digital started having digital agencies and digital language and digital a whole like unique. It created its own ecosystem and it created its own world, which separated itself from other channels. And that has been massively detrimental to the overall industry, as everything is now colluding back to digital as being everything. So I think that perception of having two separate kind of pieces of format and the agencies themselves allowing that separation was so massively detrimental to the industry. So now we're, as an agency, we're pulling that all back together. And so now I plan and buy digital. There's no digital team or digital agency or Braylana Digital. It needs to be pulled back together. And I just think that the whole industry did itself a massive disservice because we don't see, as a consumer, we don't go, oh, that was digital and this was analog and this was out of home. We just see a collection of touch points which we are exposed to every day, and there's no reason why that should have been separated in the first place. So I think that was one of the most major things that I'd seen in my media lifetime, and it was a negative.
So it's interesting. You're working with an agency that is trying to bring it back. A lot of agencies have begun to realize what you've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
Customers, consumers, people who buy stuff, they don't go around saying, "Oh, this is digital. Oh, that is a billboard. Oh, that is a." They say, "Is this thing relevant to me or not? Should I buy this
Mm-hmm.
thing or not? Should I buy this service or not?" And in their lives, they have more important things to worry about, like their kids, their paycheck, their marriages, the mortgage, uh, getting fired, not getting hired, whatever. People have real worries, and they don't make that decision, uh, you know, like we think. However, there's always another aspect. Again, a personal opinion. I think a lot of advertisers shot themselves in the foot big time by allowing that, because all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
they had to have two mindsets, two teams,
Two
talk to
budgets,
two agencies,
two
two
agencies.
budgets.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see it, being in the thick of it as you are? How do you see, has this been good for clients overall or bad for clients?
Bad, 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 bad. So I think, and especially Meta has been a really, really terrible example of creating their own um, ecosystem where the effective reach gets dictated by their algorithms. So we have no visibility the um, over their like delivery systems, and it's just become a massive funnel that needs much more exposure. And I think pulling it out of digital just into channel is going to do. I think it's that's the potential future of what we need to do. It's sort of got into a place where it's creating its own. We have meta planning, and it's
Mhm.
too tight. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I also have, as a professional, a lot of concerns about what they call the walled gardens.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
are, yeah, there's many platforms that are really tiny, and they say, well, whatever, our platform, whatever, and basically you look at them and you say, screw up, get the hell
Hmm.
out. But there are wall gardens that you don't realize that they are wall gardens because they're really big. Meta being one of them. Facebook is at the end a wall garden. You only advertise
Exactly.
to people who are in Facebook. Now, on the one hand, I see the 2 points. So on the one hand, when you advertise on television, you advertise to whatever happens to be there. So, if you got 1,000 people, 10,000, 10 million, it's whatever is in there. And it is still a wall garden, except it is really big. People who have televisions, which is what, like 98% of all of us. But it really riles me that I don't know anything for real about these people. But then I see the other point. I'm buying only what I need. And
Hmm.
sometimes I have to explain to clients, hey, we don't buy things, we buy the audience. So that if I do my calculations and I know that I need to reach 12 million people, so that, with a CTR of, 0.7%, and blah blah blah, so many landings, so many conversions, I want to sell whatever. So I usually work it backwards, even though I did the same thing on television. But it is still a walled garden, and there's a lot of concerns, like, how do we know we're not reaching the same person in Facebook, Meta, YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, and also, let's say, in search? How do you see that?
So yeah, that is a that is a major one. So we, oh, I mean, I could talk for hours on this, but it's. I think there's a real problem with the walled gardens and those media owners creating their own self-funding empires, which aren't based on actual true reach. So we use those. I mean, basically, we use those digital channels for cheap reach. Nobody looks at a display ad. Nobody's going to click on it. It's just it creates a number, and that provides a marketer with a something and a figure, and they can go, you know, that they're much happier with that than seeing, say, a TV spot which goes out, and we can give a reach number, but we can't give any engagements or metrics. So the part of the job is we've got to teach the marketers not to rely on the metrics, and especially the metrics from the walled gardens, because they are usually um, not so they're not measured by the same
Right.
overview as what we would measure them by.
Yeah, no, no, it's a real mess. And at the end, there's one thing, you never know the reach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And to me, the reach was the number one thing, like, and there's a lot of research also that goes into the mathematical correlation between reach and growth, reach and share of market, or
Mm,
change in share of market. I mean, like, but it is a real concern that I can buy 10 million impressions here, 50 million people on television with, six spots or whatever. And then I can buy whatever, and I have no clue what the reach was.
mm,
It is mind boggling. So,
yeah.
but it's an interesting time. I mean, I can see that, being in the thick of it, you're facing those problems head on. Hopefully, your generation, and you're way younger than I am, your generation will find a solution for that, because my generation certainly dropped the ball big time. We
Mm,
let the entire industry kind of like collapse. It's
yeah.
on us. It is on people my age, not on people your age. We're the guilty parties here. So, and then finally, and then this is something that, because my birthday was yesterday, I'm very conscious of.
Happy birthday, Marcelo, for yesterday.
I don't know, it's more like my condolences. But, let's say you're advising a CEO, and the CEO is interviewing, uh, you know, candidates for a senior position, say a CMO or something like that. And the candidates range from, I don't know, 28 all the way to 60. Uh, and I'm planning to do, by the way, a little clip of all of the answers. But what do you say to that CEO is a special value of an older candidate versus, let's say, a younger candidate?
So I would say 100%, because I work with a lot of youngies. I would say 100% soft skills. Soft skills are so underrated. How to word an email in a way that doesn't offend or incriminate a client that has done something really dumb. How to bring people in a Teams meeting who aren't contributing or feel a bit shy. There's nothing in a CV that you can write that can capture all of those things that you learn after so many years in an industry where you deal with hundreds of thousands of different people every day. So when you're looking at an older candidate, you're looking at a person who has, at some stage in their career or life, dealt with a situation before, and they've got experience of that. And if they've dealt with it really badly, then they've learnt from that. Some of my younger colleagues have had, when I look at some of their email writing, it's like, oh, so I mean, me and my boss, who my boss is actually younger than me. He's in his like 50s. So our dictators now, if you are going to write a client email, look at how we have framed things and what our style is, because we write the same, and echo that style. So learn that. And I think that's, I mean, I might not be as good at technical knowledge than a lot of my younger colleagues, but boy, oh boy, my soft skills are like 10 times better. So I think soft skills are, I mean, they're so difficult to teach. You just have to be in the midst of it to learn them, and it's all as a result of every single touch point of a person that you meet with along all of your days and weeks and years in all of the situations that you've been in. And yeah, that's impossible to teach. So I would, if the skills were the same on CV, I'd go for the old person every time.
Well, I'm glad. On behalf of
I
all of the old people, thank you.
am
So,
an old person as well.
trust me, I don't even remember my 50s. For good reason, probably. I don't know. But thank you very much, Emma. It's been absolutely great catching up after so
Oh,
many years.
it
I wish
has.
you
It's
the
so nice to
best.
see
I
you.
don't know what your next country will be, but
Who
if
knows?
they offer you Spain, take it because I have a house in Spain and I go to Spain like 4 times a year.
Nice
So
one.
we'll meet over there.
I'm kind of running out of English speaking countries now.
Yeah, don't go to Jamaica. It's too small.
No. Cool. Thanks so much, Marcelo.
Thank you. I'll see you around. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.